I don't chase people. I erase them. That isn't a threat. It never has been. It is simply the rule I have lived by for as long as I can remember. A prince does not run after those who choose to leave. A prince does not beg for loyalty, affection, or respect. If someone walks away from my life, I don't waste my time convincing them to stay. I close the door, lock it, and continue walking as if they were never part of my story. The kingdom taught me that hesitation is weakness, and weakness is something a ruler cannot afford. People mistake my silence for heartbreak, but silence has always been my greatest weapon. While others are busy explaining themselves, I have already moved on. You see the crown on my head and think it gave me power. It didn't. The crown only revealed the power I already had. It showed me that the world respects certainty far more than kindness. The moment I stopped asking people to understand me, they started wondering what they had lost. They expected me to fight for them, to call their name, to wait outside their door, hoping they would return. They never understood one thing about me. My pride was built long before this palace was. I would rather sit alone on a throne than kneel before someone who has already decided they don't value my place in their life. People come back. They always do. Not because I call them, but because absence speaks louder than desperate words ever could. They return expecting the same smile, the same welcome, the same place beside me. What they find instead is someone who has already rewritten the chapter they once belonged to. I don't punish them. I don't argue with them. I simply become unreachable. The seat they left beside me is no longer empty. It belongs to peace now, and peace has become more valuable than temporary company. Every lesson the palace taught me came with a price. Trust too quickly, and someone will wear your kindness like a disguise. Love without caution, and someone will mistake your heart for permission to take advantage of it. So I learned to protect what matters. My loyalty is rare, and once it is broken, it never returns in the same form. I don't hold endless grudges, but I also don't reopen doors that were closed for a reason. Some endings deserve to stay exactly where they belong, in the past. Many believe being a prince means having everything. They couldn't be more wrong. The higher you stand, the fewer people speak honestly. Compliments become currency. Smiles become strategy. Even friendship is often measured by what someone hopes to gain. That is why I pay close attention to actions instead of promises. Words are easy to borrow. Character is not. The people who remain beside me through silence, failure, and difficult seasons are the only ones worthy of standing beside my throne. If you are loyal, I will protect you without asking for anything in return. If you stand beside me when the world turns against me, I will never forget it. But if you choose to betray me, don't expect a dramatic farewell. There won't be one. No speeches. No arguments. No second chances offered out of loneliness. You will simply discover that my world continues without you, as though your name was never written into its history. So remember this whenever you wonder why I never looked back. I wasn't trying to make anyone regret leaving. I wasn't trying to prove a point. I simply understand my worth too well to chase people who have already made their choice. My energy belongs to the future, not to closed doors. My focus belongs to my kingdom, my purpose, and the people who choose to stay without being asked. I don't chase people. I erase their place in my life. And once that chapter ends, even a prince cannot be convinced to write the same story twice. People often confuse distance with anger. They believe that because I no longer speak, I must still be hurting. The truth is much simpler. There comes a moment when silence is no longer punishment. It becomes peace. I reached that moment a long time ago. I stopped asking why people changed. I stopped searching for explanations that would never satisfy me. Some people are only meant to teach you a lesson before they become a memory. I accepted that, and the day I did, my heart became stronger than it had ever been. The palace has taught me something that no book ever could. A ruler cannot build his future by looking over his shoulder. Every time I glance back, I lose sight of the kingdom waiting ahead. So I keep moving. Every sunrise brings new responsibilities, new battles, and new decisions that affect thousands of lives. I don't have the luxury of staying trapped in yesterday. While others replay old conversations in their minds, I am already planning tomorrow. Don't mistake my kindness for dependence. If I cared for you, it was because I chose to, not because I needed to. There is a difference. I have lived in rooms larger than most people's dreams, yet I know what loneliness feels like. I have stood in halls filled with applause, and still heard nothing but silence. That is why I never expect another person to complete me. A prince who depends on others for his peace will eventually lose both his peace and his crown. Sometimes I hear people say I've become colder. Maybe they're right. Fire doesn't remain soft after surviving countless storms. Iron doesn't become a sword without passing through flames. Every betrayal removed another illusion. Every disappointment sharpened my judgment. What they call coldness is simply experience dressed in confidence. I no longer waste my heart where my loyalty isn't valued. One day, someone asked me if I ever regret letting people go. I smiled because they assumed everyone who leaves takes something valuable with them. They don't. The right people never force you to question your worth. The right people never make loyalty feel like a competition. If someone chooses another path, I wish them well from a distance. But I refuse to abandon my own path just to follow footsteps that were never meant to lead me. When I finally become king, history will not remember how many people walked away from me. It will remember how I ruled, how I protected my people, and how I carried the weight of the crown without letting it break me. That is the legacy I care about. Names fade. Faces disappear. Time buries almost everything. But character echoes through generations. So if you ever wonder why I never turn back, understand this. It wasn't because I stopped feeling. It was because I finally understood that some doors are meant to stay closed. A prince doesn't spend his life knocking on doors that were shut in his face. He builds a kingdom so remarkable that he never needs to look behind him again. And with every step forward, I become less interested in who left and more grateful for the few who chose to stay.